It was late in the afternoon when she returned home, tired from a long day. The house was quiet, too quiet, and a strange unease settled over her. Something didn't feel right. Her son had been distant for weeks, and her daughter-in-law had been acting oddly, keeping secrets and avoiding eye contact. She tried to dismiss her thoughts, but a small voice in her mind kept warning her that today would be different. Then came the phone call. The voice on the other end was hesitant, almost trembling. It was the doctor. "You need to come to the hospital immediately," he said. "There's something you must see." "It's urgent." Urgent? The word alone made her heart pound. She had expected routine news about her grandchild, but the tone in his voice made her skin crawl. She grabbed her coat and drove without thinking, her mind racing with questions she didn't yet have answers to. When she arrived, the hospital felt larger than usual, the corridors echoing with each step. White walls, harsh lights, the faint beeping of machines, it all seemed surreal. The doctor waited near the ultrasound room, his expression serious, almost fearful. "Please, come in," he said. She stepped inside, trying to calm the tremble in her hands. Her daughter-in-law sat on the examination table, her face calm but tense, hands resting over her growing belly. There was a quiet confidence in her posture, a sharp contrast to the mother-in-law's rising anxiety. The doctor gestured toward the ultrasound screen. "You need to see this," he said softly, almost hesitantly. She walked closer, expecting the usual image of a baby, a heart beating steadily on the screen. But what she saw made her stomach drop. Something about the image was unusual. She couldn't understand it yet, but she felt the weight of its meaning pressing down on her. "I think you need to reconsider your family situation," the doctor said, his voice shaking. This changes everything?" Her mind raced. What could he mean? She searched his face for clues, but all she found was a mixture of fear and urgency. Her daughter-in-law's eyes met hers briefly, cold and unreadable, as if daring her to react. The silence in the room grew heavier with each passing second. The doctor stepped back, clearly struggling to find the right words. "I've seen hundreds of ultrasounds," he said, "but this one, it's not normal. I'm warning you. It could affect your family in ways you can't imagine." Her heart pounded and 1,000 questions flooded her mind. Was the baby sick? Was there something wrong that could ruin her family? She wanted to speak, to ask for answers, but her voice felt stuck in her throat. "Please," she whispered, gripping the edge of the table. "Just tell me." "What is it?" The doctor looked at her with a pained expression. I can't say this lightly," he said. "But you need to protect yourself. Divorce. It's the only way to keep yourself safe from what this situation could bring." Divorce. The word hit her like a thunderclap. Her jaw dropped and her hands went cold. She came to the hospital to see her grandchild, to share in the joy of new life. Instead, she was faced with a shocking suggestion that she never imagined could happen in her family. She stumbled back, her mind spinning. The daughter-in-law remained calm, almost smug, her eyes unreadable. The doctor looked helpless, as if he regretted even speaking. She could hardly breathe, the room spinning around her. Questions raced through her mind. What did he see in the ultrasound? Why was her family suddenly in danger? How could divorce even be part of the answer? Everything felt unreal. The familiar walls of the hospital, the beeping of machines, even the voice of the doctor, it all seemed distant, like she was watching from outside her own life. She wanted to scream, to demand the truth, but no words came. She stood frozen, heart racing, mind tangled in fear and confusion. The doctor tried to explain again, but the words seemed to blur, drowned out by the storm of emotions inside her. And the daughter-in-law. She just watched, calm and collected, as if she already knew the chaos she was about to create. Her world had shifted in an instant. What was happening? Why would the doctor say such an extreme thing? And most importantly, what should she do next? The room seemed to close in around her, the weight of the moment pressing down harder with every heartbeat. She knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The words divorce. To protect yourself kept echoing in her mind. She couldn't understand. Why would a doctor say something so extreme after seeing an ultrasound? Was it about the baby? Was her family in danger? Her thoughts raced, each one more terrifying than the last. She looked again at her daughter-in-law, who remained eerily calm. There was something in her expression, a quiet certainty, that made her skin crawl. It was as if she had been waiting for this moment. Knowing exactly what the doctor would say, the doctor cleared his throat, trying to steady himself. "I wish I didn't have to say this," he said. "But I have seen things. Situations where families have been destroyed. This pregnancy. It is different." She swallowed hard. "Different? How?" she asked, her voice trembling. The doctor hesitated, glancing at her daughter-in-law. "It's not just about health," he said carefully. "There are other factors, things that could change the course of your family's life completely." Her heart pounded. She couldn't make sense of his words. She wanted to run out to escape the tension in the room, but her feet felt stuck. She was trapped between fear and confusion, and the calm, unreadable expression of her daughter-in-law made it worse. Her mind flashed back to the weeks leading up to this moment. Small hints she had ignored now seemed like warnings. The secretive phone calls, the sudden trips to the hospital, the vague explanations about tests and checkups. Every detail now felt like a clue to a bigger, darker picture. The doctor leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I have never seen this before. The ultrasound. It shows something unusual, something that could affect everyone involved. That's why I suggested extreme caution. Divorce. It may be the only way to protect yourself emotionally, financially, even legally." Her chest tightened. Divorce? Protect herself? She couldn't imagine leaving her son, leaving the family she had built over decades. But the doctor's fear was real. She could see it in his eyes. "Why? Why didn't you tell my son?" she asked, her voice barely audible. The doctor looked away, a shadow of regret crossing his face. "I tried," he said, "but he didn't want to listen. I thought, maybe if I spoke to you, you could understand the gravity of the situation." Her daughter-in-law shifted slightly, placing a hand over her belly. Her eyes met hers for a brief second. In that moment, she realized the truth. The daughter-in-law knew exactly what was happening, and she was using it. Panic surged through her, mixed with anger. How could her son be so blind? How could she not see the signs earlier? But there was no time for blame. The doctor's words kept repeating in her mind. This could change everything. You must protect yourself. A sense of urgency gripped her. She had to make a decision, but what choice could she make? She could not leave her son based on fear alone. Yet ignoring the doctor's warning felt equally dangerous. The daughter-in-law finally spoke, her voice calm and controlled. "You don't understand," she said softly. "Everything is already in motion. The doctor is right. You need to decide." Now, the words hit her like ice. Now? What did she mean by that? Was she threatening her? Or was it a warning about something bigger? The doctor glanced between them, helpless. He knew the situation was delicate, that one wrong move could break the fragile balance of their family. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She needed answers, truth, not speculation. She needed to understand exactly what the ultrasound had revealed. But even as she asked herself these questions, one thing was clear: whatever lay ahead, her life was about to change forever. The room felt suffocating, the air thick with tension. Every heartbeat echoed in her ears. And one thought kept coming back, louder than any other. She could never go back to the way things were before. The doctor finally stepped back, letting her gather her thoughts, but the shadow of his warning lingered. And in that moment, she realized she was standing on the edge of a decision that could shatter her family or save it. Her mind spun with fear, uncertainty, and disbelief. She didn't know which path to take, but she knew one thing for sure: the next move would define everything. The silence in the room was suffocating. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, each beat louder than the last. She wanted answers, but every word the doctor said seemed to make things more confusing. Her daughter-in-law sat calmly, almost smug, hands folded over her belly. As if daring her to react, finally she mustered the courage to speak. Tell me exactly what's wrong, she demanded, her voice trembling but firm. I need to know. What is this about? The doctor took a deep breath, glancing at the ultrasound screen again. He hesitated, clearly weighing his words. The baby, he began slowly, it's different. There's something unusual here. I've never seen anything like it in my entire career. She felt her stomach twist. Different? How? What do you mean? He swallowed hard, struggling to find a way to explain without causing panic. I can't explain everything medically right now, he said. But this pregnancy, it's complicated. There are risks, not just for the baby, but for everyone involved. That's why I said, extreme caution is necessary. Her mind raced. Complicated? Risks? Her son? Her family? Everything seemed tangled in an invisible web she couldn't see. The calmness of her daughter-in-law only made her blood boil. She felt trapped in a situation that seemed impossible to control. The daughter-in-law finally spoke, her tone low and controlled. It's true, she said softly, almost tauntingly. The doctor knows what he's talking about. You need to listen. This isn't just about a baby. It's about your family, your life. The words hit her like a wave. Her hands clenched into fists. My life? What could possibly threaten my life? She asked, her voice rising. Fear and anger mixed into a knot in her chest. The doctor stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on her arm. I don't want to scare you, he said, but I have seen situations where a family didn't take warnings seriously. Lives were changed forever. I'm asking you to consider your options carefully. Before it's too late. She looked at him, confusion and disbelief battling with the instinct to protect her son. How could she possibly make a decision without understanding the full picture? Every second that passed felt heavier than the last. Her daughter-in-law's eyes met hers again. There was a strange satisfaction there, a knowing smile that made her uneasy. You can ignore the doctor if you want, she said. But you'll see. Soon you'll understand why I'm right. Her pulse raced. Something in her gut told her the daughter-in-law wasn't just calm, she was controlling the situation, waiting for her to react. And that realization sent a shiver down her spine. She took a step back, trying to breathe. I need to think, she said, though she knew thinking alone wouldn't solve this. She wanted to demand answers from her son, to ask why he hadn't listened to the doctor, why he allowed this secrecy. But the thought of confronting him without understanding the truth paralyzed her. The doctor sighed, clearly frustrated. I wish I could tell you everything now, he said, but sometimes the truth has to come out slowly. You'll need to face it carefully, step by step. The tension in the room was unbearable. She wanted to scream, to demand the full story, but her voice failed her. Her daughter-in-law remained calm, almost tauntingly so, while the doctor tried to navigate the impossible task of explaining something he barely knew how to explain. Her thoughts spun wildly. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't even think clearly. Every decision seemed impossible. But one thing was certain, her life, her family, everything she had ever known, was about to change forever. As she left the hospital that day, the words of the doctor and the daughter-in-law replayed in her mind like a dark echo. What had she just walked into? What secret was hiding behind that ultrasound? And most importantly, what would she do when she finally learned the truth? The story of her family was far from over, and the answers, she realized, would not come easily. Every step from here on out would be a choice between fear and courage, trust and doubt, love and betrayal. The days after the hospital visit passed in a blur. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and every little sound in the house made her jump. Her mind replayed the doctor's words over and over. Extreme caution. Protect yourself. Divorce may be necessary. She still couldn't understand. How could a simple ultrasound lead to such a warning? Her son had tried to reassure her, but even his voice sounded uncertain. Mom, the doctor said everything is fine. Don't worry so much, he said. But she could tell he was hiding something, and that made her more anxious than ever. Her daughter-in-law, meanwhile, seemed perfectly composed. She moved through the house with a calmness that unnerved her. Every glance, every word seemed carefully measured, as if she were testing how much control she had over the situation. One evening, unable to bear the suspense any longer, she decided to return to the hospital. She needed answers, and she needed them now. The doctor looked up as she entered, his expression a mixture of guilt and fear. "You came back," he said quietly. I'm glad you did." "I need to know the truth," she said, her voice firm. "Everything. I can't live in fear anymore. I need to understand what's happening with the baby and why you said what you said." The doctor hesitated, then led her to a private room. He pulled out the ultrasound images again and pointed to a section on the screen. "Look here," he said carefully. "Do you see this?" She leaned in, her heart pounding. The shapes on the screen looked normal at first glance, but the doctor's finger highlighted something subtle, something unusual. "It's not immediately obvious," he explained. "But it's different from anything I've ever seen in a routine pregnancy." Her mind raced. "Different? Unusual? Dangerous? What does it mean?" She whispered. The doctor sighed. "I can't be certain without further tests, but the signs indicate a complex situation. It could have serious consequences for your family, emotionally and legally. That's why I said what I said before." She tried to calm herself. She had always been a strong woman, but this uncertainty, this sense of danger, was crushing. Her daughter-in-law's calm demeanor kept replaying in her mind, making her doubt her own judgment. Why was she so composed? Did she already know the risks? Was she hiding something? The thought made her stomach twist. She realized that the ultrasound was only part of the story. The bigger picture, what her daughter-in-law knew, what her son might be ignoring, was far more threatening than the image on the screen. The doctor looked at her. Concern etched on his face. "I wish I could tell you more," he said. "But you need to prepare yourself. This situation is complicated, and it will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Your daughter-in-law. She's very determined, and she may not be entirely honest about what she knows or what she's planning." Fear surged through her. Determined? Not honest? The words painted a clear picture in her mind. Her daughter-in-law wasn't just hiding something, she was orchestrating it. And now, the responsibility to protect her family rested on her shoulders. She left the hospital that night feeling heavier than ever. The streets were quiet, the world seemingly unchanged, but she knew her life had shifted. The ultrasound had revealed more than a medical image. It had exposed hidden tensions, unspoken secrets, and a potential betrayal that could tear her family apart. She sat alone in her room, staring at the walls, thinking about the choices ahead. Every moment now carried weight. Every decision could change the course of her life and the lives of everyone she loved. She realized the next step would not just be about understanding the ultrasound. It would be about confronting the truth her daughter-in-law had kept hidden, and deciding how far she was willing to go to protect her family. The storm of fear and doubt was only beginning. And deep down, she knew that nothing would ever feel safe again until she uncovered every secret behind that ultrasound. The days after her second hospital visit passed in a haze of worry. She couldn't eat properly, couldn't sleep, and every time she saw her daughter-in-law, a cold knot of unease twisted in her stomach. The calmness of that woman, the way she carried herself as if she already held the upper hand, was maddening. Finally, she decided she couldn't wait any longer. She had to confront the truth directly. That evening, she asked her son to stay home from work. She needed answers, and she needed them now. Her daughter-in-law was waiting calmly in the living room, as if she had been expecting this confrontation all along. Her expression was unreadable, almost smug, and it sent a shiver down her spine. "Enough hiding," she said firmly, her voice steady but firm. "I want the truth. What is going on with the ultrasound? Why did the doctor warn me like this?" Her daughter-in-law's eyes flickered briefly, just enough to hint that she had been waiting for this moment. "You really want the truth?" she asked softly. "Are you ready to hear it?" "Yes," she said, though her voice shook. "I need to know everything." The daughter-in-law stood and walked toward the window, hands resting lightly on her growing belly. The doctor saw what I'm carrying, and he knows it's unusual, she said carefully. Not dangerous in a physical sense, but it changes everything. Socially, financially, legally. That's why he warned you. Her mind raced. Unusual? Changes everything? She felt her chest tighten. Explain, she demanded. The daughter-in-law smiled faintly, as if enjoying the power she held. You see, this isn't just an ordinary pregnancy. The baby, it's part of a plan I've been preparing for. Everything is calculated. And you, dear mother-in-law, have a choice. Interfere. Or step aside. Shock and disbelief washed over her. A plan? Interfere? What are you saying? This isn't about Mid, this is my family. My son, how could you even... The daughter-in-law interrupted, her tone icy now. Exactly. This is about control. The doctor sees the implications, which is why he warned you. You need to decide where you stand. Do you protect your family? Or do you try to stop what's coming? Tears welled in her eyes. She felt trapped, cornered by forces she didn't fully understand. Her son stood silently, looking confused and afraid. It was clear he had no idea how far his wife had planned things. The doctor's warnings finally made sense. It wasn't just the baby, it was the power, the manipulation, the hidden consequences. Her daughter-in-law had thought ahead, controlling the situation from the very beginning. Her heart pounded. She couldn't allow this to destroy her family. But she also knew that acting rashly could make everything worse. She needed to plan a way to uncover the truth fully, protect her son, and navigate the dangerous path her daughter-in-law had laid out. She took a deep breath and forced herself to remain calm. I won't be intimidated, she said firmly. I will protect my family, no matter what. But I need honesty. No more games. The doctor already warned me. Now it's time for the truth, and I will find it, one way or another. The daughter-in-law's face remained calm, but there was a flicker of uncertainty now. We'll see, she said softly, her tone measured. You may have courage, but courage alone won't solve everything. The room fell silent, the tension thick and almost unbearable. She felt a surge of determination, stronger than fear, stronger than uncertainty. The next steps would be critical. She needed to stay vigilant, gather information, and protect her son and her family at all costs. In that moment, she realized one thing. The ultrasound had revealed more than a medical image. It had revealed the hidden layers of manipulation, the unspoken threats, and the challenge she now had to face. And she knew that to protect her family, she would need every ounce of strength, courage, and intelligence she had. Her journey was far from over. The secret of the ultrasound had been partially revealed, but the full truth, and the choices she would have to make, were still ahead. The days that followed were tense. She could feel the weight of every decision pressing down on her. Her mind replayed the doctor's warnings, the daughter-in-law's calm control, and the mysterious ultrasound. She knew she could no longer wait. She had to uncover the full truth. She arranged another visit to the hospital, this time insisting that her son accompany her. The doctor greeted them with a solemn expression, his eyes betraying concern. You need to understand everything clearly, he said. It's time to reveal the full picture. They walked into the ultrasound room, and the doctor gestured to the screen. Here it is, he said, pointing to the image. There's nothing physically wrong with the baby, but medically, it's extremely rare. Her heart skipped a beat. Rare? What do you mean? The doctor explained carefully. The ultrasound shows a condition that is uncommon, something that could affect the baby's future health in subtle ways. It's not dangerous right now, but it does require careful monitoring. More importantly, your daughter-in-law. She has been making decisions about medical care and family planning without full transparency. Her mind raced. She's been hiding this? The doctor nodded gravely. Yes, that's why I warned you. The situation isn't physically threatening, but the secrecy and control over information can have serious consequences for your family. That's why I suggested extreme caution. She turned to her daughter-in-law, who was standing quietly, hands on her belly, expression calm but now tinged with concern. Why didn't you tell us? She asked, voice steady but sharp, her daughter-in-law's lips pressed into a thin line. "I was trying to protect everyone," she said softly. "I wanted to manage it myself until the right time. I didn't mean to scare or hurt anyone." Her son looked at her, confusion and fear in his eyes. "Mom, I didn't know either," he said quietly. "I trusted her. I didn't realize." She felt a mix of relief and lingering tension. The truth was out. The ultrasound wasn't a disaster. It was rare, unusual, and had been kept secret. But there was no physical danger to the baby. The real issue had been control, secrecy, and fear. She took a deep breath, finally letting some of the tension leave her body. "We need honesty," she said firmly. "From now on, we make decisions together. No more secrets, no more games. Our family comes first." Her daughter-in-law nodded, the first hint of humility in her eyes. "You're right," she said softly. "I'll be honest from now on. I didn't realize how much fear I was causing." The doctor smiled faintly. "Good, the baby is healthy, and with proper care and transparency, everything can be fine." The danger wasn't the baby, it was the secrecy and fear. For the first time in weeks, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. Her family was safe. The tension that had threatened to tear them apart could now be resolved with honesty, communication, and love. She looked at her son, then at her daughter-in-law, and realized something important. Families face challenges all the time. But when fear and secrecy take hold, even small problems can feel enormous. The ultrasound had been a warning, a signal that they needed to face the truth together. In that moment, she felt stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. She knew that challenges would come again, but this experience had taught her that courage, honesty, and family unity were the true keys to overcoming any obstacle. Her son reached out and held her hand. "Thank you for standing strong," he said quietly. "We couldn't have done this without you." She smiled, a weight lifting from her shoulders. "We did it together," she said, "and that's what matters." The tension of the past weeks faded, replaced by hope. The ultrasound had revealed more than a medical image. It had revealed hidden truths, tested their bonds, and ultimately strengthened the family's trust in each other.